Day 44 of the 100 Days of Narration Challenge! And today we're going to read something quite special indeed, something very close and dear to my heart. Well, sort of, not really. It's a kind of thing. It's, going to read a preview for Daikatana from the Computer Gaming World. Wow. That's a terrible, terrible title. It's very confusing to read. You think, oh wait, am I supposed to read the world part between gaming and computing, or is it computer world gaming or computer gaming world? Very, 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 very bad logo. Yeah, you guys should get on that. You know, it was 1997. I'm pretty sure you've gone through millions of other designs at this point, but whatever. Anyway, I've chosen to read the preview for Daikatana because it's it is so embarrassingly gushy. It is like, oh, I should probably say, it is from issue, God, I can't read this, issue 155 from June 1997. Jeez, this is like, what's that, 16 years old. I'm holding something that's 16 years old. Oh my god, that's crazy. Anyway, I'm going to read this because I actually do own an actual physical copy of Daikatana. And I bought it mainly as a joke, and also because I thought maybe in some time, in some weird distant future, it would accrue in value because of such how horrid the final product was after so many years of hype. Well, 4 years of hype, which technically isn't a long time these days. I mean, considering most production values for video games. But back then, you know, you could turn around games in like, I don't know, 2 years or less. You know, it wasn't a time of like super big budget blockbuster. Well, I guess they were big budget blockbuster stuff, but it's still, it didn't have like named actors or anything like that, or full voiceover for everything. Actually, it was around the time when full voiceover was coming into its own. Yeah. MIDI soundtracks, though. Still no full orchestral soundtracks. Well, some things had full orchestral soundtracks. Lots of things happening there. It was a very strange time. It was like, like Quake had just come out, and it was possibly the best first-person shooter ever. I kid. It was, but it was around that time when people started going, you know, first-person shooters, you know, they seem to work really well on PC. Maybe we should be making more of them to take advantage of the power of the PC. And then suddenly it was a huge explosion of Quake clones and whatever, and Daikatana was apparently going to be one of those that was going to be like a Quake killers, according to the front title, along with Jedi Knight, Hexen 2, Prey, Unreal, and much more. Apparently all these games were going to kill Quake, and most of them are... Wait, Prey? Hang on. Is that the same Prey that only came out like a couple of years back? Am I thinking that right? No. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was one of those first-person shooters that was like in limbo forever, and then finally came out and was a pretty good game. Mainly because by that time people had forgotten about Prey, and then suddenly came back again, and then people remembered Prey, but by that time it was completely different from the previous Prey. That makes sense. Yes. Okay. But yeah, also Jedi Knight, which was one of the best Star Wars-based first-person shooters with laser swords and glow-stick battles ever. And Hexen 2, which most people these days don't remember. Is the Hexen... God, is the Hexen brand still around even? If they revived the Hexen series, would people even know what that is? I mean, it was like... it's a first-person shooter. It was more like a first-person... Well, it was a shooter. First of all, but it was using magic spells and stuff like that, and you could choose characters with different magical affinities, or use melee weapons or something like that, and it was I believe it was pretty good. And Unreal, I mean, I don't think there has been. Wait, that was Unreal Tournament 3, and that was the last Unreal game we got. After that, it was all like it's just called the Unreal Engine at this point from. What's that company called? It's not id Software. Epic Games. That's right, Epic Games. Wow, we're taking a huge trip on memory lane here, and we haven't even gotten to what this article is all about. Anyway, Daikatana. It was going to be the biggest game ever. John Romero was gonna take you to different worlds and make you love the characters, and he's going to make you cry. And then they took out a 2-page spread. No, it was. Yeah, let's not exaggerate. It was a 1-page ad which basically said this summer, John Romero is going to make you his bitch, which was possibly the worst idea ever, because suddenly it made gamers go on the offensive, go, oh, you think you're so good, huh, John Romero? You think you're so awesome and wonderful. Well, where's your game, eh? Where is your so-called awesome game? And there was no awesome game. It got delayed several times, and then when it finally came out in 2002? 2000? No, 2000. Yeah, 2000. It was not Half-Life. That's for certain. At that point, Half-Life was the game to try and surpass at the time, and it was definitely not Half-Life. And so using save crystals as a thing for a start was a bad idea. You couldn't save anywhere. You had to use save crystals until they brought in a patch which actually got rid of the whole save crystal thing, which was a good idea. Anyway, enough of me rambling on about this. Let's go and read the preview for Daikatana by V. Long, who I'm not sure is even part of a... Actually, this Computer Gaming World, does it even exist anymore? God, I remember I knew someone who actually did reviews for this paper. No, for this magazine. So I'm not sure if he's still working at Computer Gaming World or if he's moved on to electronic gaming journalism sites, or I should probably go to a news agency once in a while and actually see whether these magazines still exist. Anyway, Daikatana. Samurai game designer John Romero slices action with RPG elements in Ion Storm's premiere game. Oh god, Ion Storm. I remember that now. Now, they did bring out Anachronox and Deus Ex, and more importantly, Deus Ex, one of the finest RPG / first-person shooter stuff games ever made. Although I can't really play past the Ellis Island level. It's just not aged well. Really want to play beyond that, but yeah. But yeah, Iron Storm did bring out cool stuff. It's just John Romero's ego killed the entire studio, which was great. Anyway, let's read this preview. John Romero is one of a small number of stars in the world of computer gaming. He helped found id Software with John Carmack and 2 others in 1991, designed Doom, and played a key role in the development of Quake. 6 months ago? Oh yeah, 1997. 6 months ago, he left id in a much publicized break to form his own game company. Today, Romero's Ion Storm is located in the penthouse of a Dallas office building, has about 40 employees, and is developing 3 titles using id's Quake engine. And, okay, some info here. Developer, Ion Storm. Publisher, Eidos Interactive. Wow. Eidos Interactive, back when they were actually Eidos Interactive, and not just an arm of Square Enix, sorry. Target date, December 1997. No, it didn't make that target date. It didn't make that target date. And all the screenshots are pre-rendered screenshots. How could anyone be fooled by this? It's like, no, you cannot achieve that level of graphic fidelity. Well, yeah, graphic fidelity at that time in an actual video game. How was anyone fooled by these so-called screenshots? They're not screenshots. They're okay. No, backing off. Let's just read the rest of this preview. Those familiar with Romero know he has always wanted more complex challenge in his action games. He hopes Ion's first title, Daikatana, will do just that, by adding different characters, time periods, and role-playing elements to the action formula. The game also blends in some compelling features from console games, such as Squaresoft's, and it's called Squaresoft here rather than Square Enix, Squaresoft's Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3. I think he meant 6. Yeah, oh yeah, that was back in the day when Days and... Oh god, this is just a history lesson of gaming here. Final Fantasy 3 was still... Well, Final Fantasy 6 was still called Final Fantasy 3. And Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 4 was called Final Fantasy 2 because North America had not received the previous games in between. Not the real 2 and 3 for the NES and not the real 5 for the SNES. Yes, that's right. So that's weird name convention. They went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 7. So that confused quite a lot of people. But then everything's been fixed now. Everything's been fixed. Except for the fact that Final Fantasy 13 is the worst Final Fantasy ever made. Anyway, keep going. Secret of Mana and Secret of Evermore, which is not really a Squaresoft title at all. It was more of a developed by the American company. Apparently it was okay, but I never played it. Consequently, Daikatana will depart from the stereotypical lone hero versus the world paradigm of the current slew of 3D first-person shooter games. Really? Hardly that. Despite whatever awesome skills you possess as the main character, Hiro Miyamoto, yes, you heard that correctly, Hiro Miyamoto, the game is nearly impossible to complete without your companions, Mikiko Ibihara and Superfly Johnson. Can you guess what race Superfly... Can you guess what race Superfly Johnson is? Can you? Superfly Johnson! No, of course not. You can't. Not with a name like that. You can't. Oh, God. It's so 90s. It's so horribly 90s. It's like just mixing... like what little Japanese I know. Wait, Miyamoto is a Japanese name, so I'll use it and with the word hero, like only it'll spell with an I, so it's a Japanese name, so it'll be like one of my Japanese animes. Oh, this would not. I mean, say what you will about public relations and testing ideas of the public, but sometimes some things just are better not being made. This could have been one of them. This embarrassment could have been avoided, but God, I'm stopping at every sentence. Okay, keep going. The game is nearly impossible to complete without your companions, Mikiko Ibihara and Superfly Johnson. It reflects real life. You and your buddies have to work together as a team to solve puzzles, as well as to survive some very hairy situations. Okay, and that's the title here, Daikatana, the movie. Full 3D 6 degrees of freedom of movement is cool, and gameplay is important, but the story is a huge part of the experience, explains Romero. I want you to become so emotionally attached to the characters that certain events in the game will make you break down and cry, just like in the opera scene from Final Fantasy 3. Romero intends to forge such relationships between you and the characters through a variety of interactions, such as having you come to each other's rescue and engage in wisecracking banter. The heartbreak you will feel only indicates how much you've bonded with the characters. This is a novel departure from today's 3D shooters, where the only pain you feel comes from receiving 2 loads of buckshot at point-blank range. And then Half-Life came out and then completely ruined this paradigm forever. Among some of the ideas Romero has for heightening the sentimental immersion in Daikatana's world are integrated voiceovers throughout the game to provide more of a movie-like experience. Indeed, Romero made high-quality dialogue a priority and has commissioned a Hollywood scriptwriter, Christian Devine, who I've never heard of, to craft the lines. Plus a powerful soundtrack scored by Will Lakota, Locanto, of Information Society fame, will complement the game as well. Now, I have to say, out of everything that was in the game, the soundtrack I actually quite enjoyed. So, I guess if you have to find the game somehow, get the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is actually pretty cool in a 90s gaming sort of way. I mean, it's not a fully orchestral soundtrack, but it's got it's got some hummable themes, and it's quite catchy. And it reflects a different time periods you go through. Oh, by the way, spoilers, you travel through time. And spoilers. Anyway. New heading, Unearthing the Plot. Though yet to be finalized, and the game was supposed to be released in December 1997, and this issue was released in June 1997. How did no one understand? How did no one see that this was just a... Oh God. Okay. Everything in hindsight. Okay. Though yet to be finalized, the plot currently revolves around the quest for the mythical Daikatana, an ancient Japanese sword possessing magical powers, including the capacity for time travel. In 2455 AD, Dr. Toshiro Ibihara unearthed the Daikatana after a massive and expensive archaeological search financed by his family fortune. This wherewithal came courtesy of his grandfather, Dr. Tetsuo Ibihara, who discovered the cure for AIDS in 2030 AD. Okay. Unfortunately, Dr. Ibihara's evil assistant coveted the relic for himself, beheaded Dr. Ibihara, and traveled back to 2030 AD to steal credit for discovering the AIDS cure and to enjoy the resulting fortune. You play Hiro Miyamoto, Dr. Ibihara's brightest student and an expert in Japanese martial arts. Mikiko, Dr. Toshiro Ibihara's daughter, tearfully tells you of the tragic murder and the impending alteration of history. In return for setting events right, you will be rewarded with immense riches. In order to recapture the Daikatana, you must break into an impenetrable fortress. Impenetrable fortress built to safeguard the relic. The action starts when you are airdropped into the swamp surrounding the fortress. Not forest, fortress. Okay. Why would there be a swamp around the fortress? Anyway. New heading, Let the Games Begin. Daikatana is much like Chrono Trigger. Oh dear God, no, never, no. How dare you make that comparison, how dare you? Anyway, Daikatana is much like Chrono Trigger in that the hero and his trusty companions are sent hurtling through time again and again. In Daikatana, each of the 4 episodes corresponds to a distinct period in Earth's history. You start out in the future, 2455 AD. However, in order to save the future, you must travel to the near present, 2030 AD. Unfortunately, because of an inherent oversight, you and your pals are blown back to 2030 BC instead. After some time, you manage to collect enough power to escape 2030 BC, but only to emerge in 560 AD, the Dark Ages. By the final episode, you make it to the intended destination 2030 AD, where events can then finally be corrected. The episodes will be completely different worlds unto themselves, with unique non-player characters, monsters, resources, weapons, and technologies. In fact, weapons and items brought from one episode into another may be rendered useless simply due to a lack of ammo, or energy. Each episode will also have a distinctly different art and color palette. One of the most eagerly anticipated aspects of playing the hero is the prospect of wielding a mighty turned-page Japanese sword. Although such a melee weapon is nothing new in first-person shooter games. Really? I can't... Well, you can punch people in Duke Nukem 3D, and you had an axe, a thoroughly useless axe in Quake, but I don't really recall there being many other first-person shooters with melee weapons. At least not as I recall. I might be wrong, though. Japanese sword in the first-person shooter games. Were there any before 1997? Oh, swords in general, maybe, but not Japanese, not a katana. Anyway, although such a melee weapon is certainly nothing new in first-person shooter games, it's certainly one weapon that many fans of the Highlander series and Akira Kurosawa movies want to see done right. What also makes the Daikatana special is the bond you will develop for it. As you gain experience in its use, its powers will grow tremendously to the point of it almost becoming like a sentient being. And how does that emerge in gameplay? Can you release the sword as a drone and let it fight by itself? And oh god, that would have been awesome. That would have been really cool, actually, if it gained like sentience and you could just release it like a drone and it'll attack people while you hang back and shoot. Why hasn't anyone thought of this? And why hasn't anyone thought of that? That would be pretty cool. Anyway, as you gain experience in its use, its powers will grow tremendously to the point of it almost becoming like a sentient being. Like any good RPG, Daikatana will give experience points to players who accomplish specific tasks, such as finding artifacts or killing monsters. Such experience can be allocated to the enhancement of a character's attributes, such as speed, strength, and attack delay. One innovation Romero is contemplating for Daikatana is the ability to play from the perspective of either of the two companions. Not only will your abilities be determined by that character's unique combination of attributes, but you'll see the story in a remarkably different light. For example, the exact same scene may have different dialogue to reflect what that character understood. And I don't get how that works. Whatever. Another idea that Romero is considering that would add even more play value to Daikatana is the inclusion of various challenges that aren't necessary to the storyline, but are funded. Another idea that Romero is considering that would add even more play value to Daikatana is the inclusion of various challenges that aren't necessary to the storyline. That aren't necessary to the storyline, but are fun as a change of pace. Romero cited examples including the Reaper bot contests on Scary's now-defunct Quakehole website. I don't know what that means. Okay, and the fastest to complete the level contest on Ironstorm's website, all of which have been enormously popular amongst Quake fans. All of which have been enormously popular among Quake fans. Wow, it's so I guess those would be considered like precursors to the esports movement. Yeah, these different challenges. I don't know what those are. What's a Reaper bot contest? And then I guess fastest to complete a level contest is still that's still around, but Reaper bot? What the hell's that? No idea. I'm amazed how some things just disappear over time. Deathmatch, Capture the Flag, Domination, those stick around forever, but maybe not Domination. I don't know if people know what that is. I don't know what that is anymore. What is Domination? Where did that come from? Well, Capture the Flag, Deathmatch, and Team Deathmatch. Those are the ones that stick around the most. Anyway, continuing on. Despite the focus on the plot, the action gaming aspects of Daikatana will not be neglected. Romero talked excitedly of incorporating elements from Doom deathmatches, such as the use key. The use key is considered a feature? The use key is considered a feature? Oh my god. I think I broke my brain. Okay, the use key is considered a feature. Oh my god, that's I'm sorry, I'm having a brain hemorrhage right now from... Okay, I'm back. Romero talked excitedly of incorporating elements from Doom deathmatches, such as the use key, BFG-type weapons, balanced weapon capabilities, and Doom speed. It's safe to say that many gamers will relish the opportunity to use the Daikatana to take a few heads a la Highlander. Right. As with any game so early in its development cycle, it's June 1997. The game was going to come out in December 1997. How is that early? The game should be gold by this point. As with any game so early in its development cycle, expect some things to change. Look for more details and follow-up articles by CGW. Sorry. No, that was the end of the sentence. Look for more details to follow-up articles by CGW. Romero projects that Daikatana will ship in November 1997. God, that's even sooner than November 1997. And that the shareware and commercial versions will be released simultaneously. Oh God, do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember shareware? Where you could play like the first... Yeah, episodic gaming did exist back then. Yeah. I mean, you play like the first episode of like a 4-episode game for free or for however much the disc cost, and then you could buy the rest of the game later if you liked. I mean, that's how most people experienced the first Doom, like playing the first episode, which was the best episode because every episode of that was kind of okay, but first episode was where it was at. Anyway. Eidos will publish this and other Ion Storm games. However, Romero assures CGW that he won't release Daikatana unless it's perfect. If it's late because of me. Yeah, it sure was, John Romero. It sure was. And then there's like, oh, and here we go. And there's a little sidebar article here. The story behind Ion Storm. Design is law, proclaim John Romero and Tom Hall, two of the biggest names in PC game design. In fact, game design is so important to them that these longtime friends left high-profile companies, namely id Software and 3D Realms, to start Ion Storm. They founded the company with Todd Porter and Jerry O'Flaherty. Sorry, that's not a common name in Australia. My mistake. And Jerry O'Flaherty from Flaherty from 7th level, both from 7th level. The 4 founders have since added Bob Wright, far left, Mike Wilson at bottom. Sorry, there's a picture here, so you probably can't see that. The founders left to right: Porter, Hall, Romero, and O'Flaherty. O'Flaherty. I'll get that right one day, or maybe not today. As first reported in January 1997, CGW, issue number 150, Tom Hall leads the 3D RPG currently titled Anachronox, while Todd Porter leads the unnamed 3D real-time strategy first-person action project. Oh yeah, Tom Hall. He was basically the guy who ruined everything, really. Yeah, Tom Hall tried to run the company into the ground. Well, Romero could run into the ground without much help, but Tom Hall did his best to help things along as well. And I don't think he's in the game industry anymore. I'm really not sure about that. Anyway, yeah, that was wow. I've been talking for half an hour. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I went on a huge tangents here and there. So that was the preview for Daikatana. And that was day 44, preview of Daikatana from Computer Gaming World, June 1997, issue number 155. Hope you enjoyed that. Tomorrow we'll read another thing from another magazine that I have, a really old magazine I have. So hope you come back for that. Thank you.